All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, November 29th, 2022, and of course, we just finished with Week 12 of the NFL, and, so it's only natural we get ready to start Week 13. We go over our Week 13 NFL pick'em. Real quick, Week 12, we went 10-6, which brings us to 178-1, so pretty good overall record. We hit over the 100-win mark finally, so that's pretty good. Not the greatest year, but this has been kind of a weird year for pick'em, but, 10-6, not the greatest week, but, double digits, missed a few games, and that's quite all right. So that's pretty much a quick recap of Week 12. We have Week 13 to go over, but real quick, if you don't mind leaving a like, subscribing to the channel if you're new around here, make sure you leave your picks down below or your thoughts on the video down below. I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. All those things help the video perform better. I know it's annoying to have it right in the beginning, but it's kind of like it. For me, it's at least been proven that it works to like help the video out, make it do a little better. So again, if you don't mind leaving a like, subscribing to the channel if you're new, and leaving your picks down below, the most important thing, that helps us out quite a bit, and I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for that, and we'll get on with the video here and not bother you with the likes, subscribe, and comment stuff. All right, bye weeks. We have two this week. There's one more week of bye weeks. This week it is the Cardinals and Panthers. So if you're a fan of if you're one of the few fans of those teams, then you can, just enjoy the week off. Maybe root for some team you don't like to lose. If you're the Panthers, who are still kind of alive in the division, maybe root for everyone to lose. And I don't know. Enjoy the week off. Thursday Night Football, we have a pretty good one right away. Pretty solid rivalry matchup in the Buffalo Bills taking on the New England Patriots up in New England. Bills come in as 4.5-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. As per usual, I include the lines after I make my picks, so I don't really know while I'm picking who the favorites are. And I include them for people who like them and yada yada yada. So the Bills come in off a close win versus the Lions. They won 28-25, and the Patriots come in off a questionable 33-26 loss to the Vikings, in which the Vikings had a little bit of help from the Zebras. In this game, though, I'm liking the Patriots for a couple of reasons. You got the home advantage in a rivalry division game that always tends to help the home team a little bit. Then you have to look at some other things, like the Bills are dealing with no Von Miller. That could help the Patriots run game. Run first offense that kind of builds off the run and play action and all those things should help the Patriots offense without Von Miller. And then you kind of have to look to things of like they're dealing with an illness in Buffalo that's kind of sweeping through the locker room. One has to wonder what kind of impact that has on their team on a shorter week this week. So there's like just a few things you could look at, and like Josh Allen's elbow, like how healthy is that? Has that been messing up his throws the last couple weeks, where the amount of interceptions he's been throwing is going up, and he didn't really have the best game against the Lions defense that he should have shredded. So like there's some concerns for if you're a Bills fan going into this, and this is also my like big upset pick of the week. So also I'm just picking this as an upset. Should the Bills win? Probably. Are they a better team this year? Yeah, I would say so. But there's just something about this specific game. If this was the Buffalo game, I would pick the other way, but just a few factors of like the Bills are dealing with like a flu bug going through the locker room. That's a big one. Short week with that as well. So it just started Monday, so there's only a few days left till they play. The health of Von Miller, the overall health of their defense is pretty low right now, and I'm just wondering about the health of Josh Allen and his elbow. Is that going to be a problem with his throwing being a little bit more erratic than usual the last couple weeks, going up against a defense that will take advantage of erratic throwing? Something to think about. That's why I like the Patriots to get a pretty big upset over Buffalo. Let's move on here, though. We got 15 games to go through. We have a pretty meh matchup in the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are favored by 1 with an over-under of 43.5. The Steelers come off a 24-17 win versus the Colts. The Falcons lost 19-13 to the Commanders. And basically, I'm going to be pretty quick with this game. The reason I have the Steelers winning is, number one, we don't pick the Falcons around here. You always respect the rule. Number two, the Falcons are a pretty one-dimensional team that kind of thrives and depends on the run, and the Steelers seem to be able to deal with the run, or at least they have the pieces to deal with the run. Their defense isn't half bad in Pittsburgh. It's their offense that's been really tremendously awful. And with Atlanta, I'm like, I don't know. I don't like the Falcons. I think the Steelers defense, after shutting down the Colts, will probably be able to put quite the work on Atlanta, who's already shown that in certain games, if you shut down their run, they have a lot of trouble throwing it. And the Steelers they have a decent defense, and their offense was able to put up 24 points against a really good Colts defense. So I would imagine against a much lesser Falcons defense, the Steelers offense has a lot less trouble moving the football and scoring. So give me the Steelers 28-21 in a pretty boring game that not many are going to watch. But it could be all right. I don't know. Falcons are fighting for first place, I guess. Denver Broncos take on the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are 8.5-point favorites with an over-under of 38.5. We're going to try and speed through some of these bad games. The Broncos lost 23-10 to the Panthers, and the Ravens lost the shocker to the Jaguars 28-27. Yeah, I have the Ravens winning this game. I think the Broncos defense might be able to keep them in it a little bit. That is if the Broncos defense hasn't quit, and if they gave up 23 to the Panthers, who have trouble scoring this year, something tells me the Broncos defense is slowly starting to give up and kind of going, all right, whatever, we're done carrying this team. If the offense isn't going to do anything, why are we bothering? And the Ravens are going to probably be wanting revenge after a ugly loss to the Jaguars. Give me the Ravens 23-14. Because I just don't think the Broncos are worth picking. All right, this game I have no idea about it. See, if Aaron Rodgers plays, then this is an easy pick. But if he doesn't, then I have no idea. The Green Bay Packers take on the Chicago Bears. Packers are 3-point favorites with an over-under of 42.5. Packers coming off a 40-33 loss to the Eagles, and the Bears coming off a 31-10 loss to the Jets. Basically, it's kind of like I have an asterisk on this game because I'm going to relook at it on Saturday. I'm not too certain who either team's starting quarterback is going to be. If it's Jordan Love versus Justin Fields, then I might lean Chicago. But if it's Aaron Rodgers versus any Bears quarterback, I'm going to be going with the Packers. So Aaron Rodgers just doesn't lose to Chicago. Chicago really doesn't have the team to beat the Packers this year, especially if the Packers offense seems to have kind of clicked it together a little bit, as Christian Watson seems to be doing really well lately. So give me the Packers over the Bears. The only way I would change this is if it's Jordan Love versus Justin Fields. Then I'd at least have to re-examine it. Here's a low-key good game between two teams that have seemingly bright futures. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Detroit Lions. Jaguars are favored by 1.5 with an over-under of 51.5. As we mentioned, the Jaguars coming off a win, and the Lions coming off a close loss to the Bills. I kind of like the Lions in this game. I don't know, the Lions defense has been playing a lot better the last few weeks. They've been able to shut down pretty good offenses, or at least keep the game close against pretty good offenses like the Bills. If I remember right, they had won 3 in a row coming into this. So again, they've been playing better football, and they played a really good game against the Bills. They just kind of lost the plot in the last 2 minutes. That happens against good teams. It's not really, and the Jaguars have been playing better football this year too. It's really hard to determine what's going to happen. But the way I look at this is, I think both teams have very suspect defenses most of the time. So, the Lions will be able to score and the Jaguars will be able to score. But it's like, what offense do I trust a little bit more in this game? Probably the Lions. I trust the Jags coaching staff more. I trust the Lions offense quite a bit more. And their defenses feel like toss-ups. So I'm going to go with the Lions because they're home. That feels like a significant advantage. And I think the Lions are much better at home than they are on the road. That game could go either way. Cleveland Browns take on the Houston Texans. The return of Deshaun Watson to Houston. Deshaun Watson's first game back, of course, is against the Houston Texans. Browns are favored by 7 with an over-under of 47.5. The Browns are coming off a 23-17 win versus the Bucs in overtime. Houston Texans coming off a 30-15 loss to the Dolphins. I don't know. I got the Browns winning by 14, and I think Deshaun Watson has a pretty good game. If Houston somehow wins this game, I'd be quite shocked. That's all I needed to say about that game, by the way. There's nothing to add to that. Anyway, the New York Jets take on the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 3-point favorites with an over-under of 45.5. Both teams are coming off victories, 31-10 for the Bears and 33-26 against the Patriots. Even though it's we have to put an asterisk on the Vikings W because, of course, there was about, 7 fucking whatever. We're not going to go down the refs and say the Minnesota Vikings, but part of the reason I have the Vikings winning this game is because of the home advantage they seem to have this year and the way the refs seem to favor them at home this year. So the Jets have to watch out for that. Their aggressive play could come back to haunt them in this game, simply because the refs throw a flag for every single little thing against when it happens to the Vikings when they're at home. So watch out for that in this game. That will be a factor. The Jets play very aggressively and they could start getting flags in this game. Also, I know that Mike White had a nice game against the Bears, a pretty bad football team this year, but we'll see how he does like against a really good Vikings team at in the Vikings home stadium against it. And then we'll also get to see what this young Jets defense can really do against this very, very good Vikings offense. So while I think the Jets will keep it close with their defensive abilities and their offense may be able to do a couple things, I think the Vikings ultimately are just a little bit better of a team with a little bit better coaching, with a little much better offense, and I think their defense will be able to contain their offense. It's just like it just seems like a pretty easy, solid Vikings win. Plus, the Vikings are getting a lot of love from the officials at home this year. Another really good game this week is the Washington, plus 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins. Good luck. Washington Commanders take on the New York Giants. Commanders are 1.5 point favorites with an over under of 40.5. Looking at this though. Yeah, okay, so yeah, the Commanders coming off a 19-13 win versus the Falcons, and the Giants coming off a 28-20 loss to the Cowboys. That's more like 28-13. They got a garbage time touchdown. The reason I wanted to pick the Giants in this game, right? But then I'm like, man, the Giants are missing so many players and so many key pieces on offense. Can they actually do anything to like score on offense now that everybody basically except Barkley and Daniel are out? Major questions on that. The Commanders are just getting healthier on their defense. It's getting better and better. Their defense is performing stronger and stronger each week, it feels like. So that's kind of a thing to keep your mind on, and their offense seems to click together somewhat well. Also, if you're a Giants fan, just know that every time I pick against your team, you guys win. So you're welcome, by the way, Giants fans. Don't be mad at me. Think about every time. I think all of your losses I've picked as wins. So just remember that. All your losses I picked as all your wins I picked as losses. So, but yeah, I just think that the Giants right now are dealing with a few too many injuries to I'm like, man, do they have any receivers left or anybody left to compete against the defense of this caliber? I don't think so, and that's why I like the Commanders in a really close game. Plus, they've won the last 2 games versus them, so it's kind of like a thing going on. All right, is this the last? Last 1 p.m. game. It'll be the Tennessee Titans taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are 5.5 point favorites with an over/under of 44.5. This is my second upset pick of the weekend, I would say. As we know, the Titans lost to the Bengals 20-16, and the Eagles beat the Packers 40-33. The reason I'm picking the Titans in this game is because I question what the Eagles can do with their rush defense. I know they added a few key pieces, but that still seems to be one of their Achilles heel. Their big weakness on their defense is stopping the run, and they happen to be going up against like Derrick Henry, one of the better running teams, a team in the Titans who love to win on the road against really good teams that they're not supposed to beat. This literally, if you've been following Mike Vrabel's Titans, is a Titans win. There is nothing about this that makes sense why the Titans should win this game. They're on the road. They don't really have the best team to compete against a juggernaut like the Eagles, but we all know what's going to happen. We can all pretend like the Philly's going to easy win. Yeah, sure, okay. Just like every other good team that plays Tennessee is supposed to win, but they never do. Again, my main concern is the Eagles' rush defense and Derrick Henry, and if they oversell to stop Derrick Henry without CJ Gardner-Johnson, how are they going to deal with like the play action that develops off that situation? That could be really tricky for the Eagles, and that's part of the reason I like the Titans to pull off their upset. 4 p.m. games. The Seahawks take on the Los Angeles Rams in a game nobody gives a shit about except Seahawks fans. Seahawks are 8 point favorites with an over/under of 41.5. Seahawks coming off a tough loss to the Raiders, 40-34. Rams are pretty much dead, 26-10 to the Chiefs. They're just done. They don't have Aaron Donald this game. Probably they're not going to have Stafford. They're not going to have anybody good. Give me the Seahawks 28-14 because again, the Rams season is probably over. Another really good game. There's a lot of really good games this week. The Miami Dolphins take on the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are surprisingly favored by 3.5 in this game with an over/under of 46.5. We've already gone over the Dolphins winning 30-15. And then we have this 49ers who won 13-0. And again, they haven't allowed a second half point in 4 straight weeks. 4 straight games, no second half points at all. 0. So we have this game coming here, and it's kind of one of those situations where we find out if Miami's offense is for real, and we find out how real the 49ers defense is. It's like when rubber meets the road, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Well, we're about to find out what happens in this game. My money is on the immovable force stopping the unstoppable object. That's my money. So basically, the reason I think this, the injury to Terron Armstead is very bad for the Dolphins' offensive line, especially when you're going up against a San Francisco 49ers offense or defense that is very good up front and very good all over the place. They're very good at pass rush defense, so that's something that's going to haunt the Miami Dolphins in this game. While I think the Dolphins will be able to keep it close, because again, they have a very good offense, I think the 49ers defensively can overwhelm them, keep two off bounds, keep them uncomfortable, don't allow any rhythm or consistency to develop. It'll have to be like random shoot touchdowns, and I don't think that'll be enough against the 49ers defense that's like really hard to stop this year. And again, Miami's offense or defense has not been good, so I could also see where San Francisco can utilize their like weird running ability with Debo if he's able to go, and Christian McCaffrey if he's going in like a really effective manner with Kittle. And because again, one of the ways that Dolphins have struggled this year is defensively, so that's kind of their weakness, and the offensive line situation. So give me the 49ers in a really close, good game. Kansas City Chiefs take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Another really good game this week. The Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites with an over/under of 52.5. We've already gone over both these games. They're both coming off of wins. So 9-2 versus 7-4. We have the Bengals, who have won the last couple meetings, including a playoff game versus the Chiefs, and we have the Chiefs coming in, who seem to be settling old scores. They beat the Titans this year, so that's a big game. Like, there are a few things I can look at with the Chiefs and go, all right, I don't think the Bengals have the defense to shut this offense down. And they've never, but like, it's like this weird thing. I don't know what to do in this game, because it's like I think the Bengals could get the upset, but I don't think Cincinnati has any element of surprise that they can use. And without Jamar Chase, there's just a few things where I'm like, we'll revisit this game when I know 100% with Jamar Chase what he's going to be doing and if he's going to play, because if he plays, that fundamentally changes the way I think of this game. Actually, no Jamar Chase, give me the Chiefs. With Jamar Chase, we have to really re-examine this one, because I just don't know if the Bengals have the firepower to keep up with them without him. All right, the Los Angeles Chargers take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chargers are favored by 1.5 with an over/under of 50.5, and this is another game that we have to kind of put an asterisk on. There's 3 of them this week. We've already got the Chargers beat the Cardinals 25-24, just so you're aware. We don't know if Josh Jacobs is going to play in this game because he's dealing with like a leg injury. They're pretty sure he's going to be able to play, but it's kind of like a day-to-day situation. So with that in mind, if Josh Jacobs does play, I like the Raiders to win at home against the division rival. Though the Raiders haven't played very well this year, and they've kind of been, very inconsistent. One of the things they've done consistently pretty well is run the football. And one of the things the Chargers do not do well, because, again, I don't think they fixed anything to do with the rush defense in the offseason. Oh, they signed Khalil Mack. Yeah, you mean a pass rushing specialist? Yeah, that really will make them stop running backs all of a sudden. So, and again, that's their weakness. They can't stop the run. It's been all season with that. And with Josh Jacobs at home, I think the Raiders at home can win this game just by running it down the throats of the Chargers. And then if the Chargers start selling out too much, the Raiders can kind of effectively throw it a little bit this year. So again, the Chargers don't really have the defense, I think, to really effectively stop the Raiders if they're playing good. I think at home, they should be able to run the ball if Jacobs plays. The Chargers will be able to score on them. That's not going to be a problem. I kind of just like the Raiders a little bit more at home in this situation. Both teams have wildly disappointed, but the Chargers have like a fundamental flaw with rush defense. And Josh Jacobs is an absolute animal this year. So, I kind of like the Raiders at home because of that. But until we know what Josh Jacobs, along with the Bengals game, there's kind of some asterisks on those. Sunday Night Football is not a really good game. It's the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 10.5 with an over under of 43.5. And the real only question here is we've already gone over their Colts off a loss, Cowboys off a W. And yeah, I like the Cowboys by 14 here. They have the defense to completely annihilate whatever the Colts try to do on offense with that bad offensive line and just kind of really bad offense. And then you have the Cowboys offense who, even if they struggle a little bit, they'll probably be able to get points on their defense and set themselves up at like the 40. And I don't know, their offense is pretty solid too. Dallas is just way better. The real question is if they cover the 11-point spread, and I think they do. All right, Monday Night Football. Oh boy, a real barn burner here. The New Orleans Saints take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are favored by 3.5 with an over/under of 40.5. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. You could pick the Saints because they always beat Tampa, or you could pick Tampa because the Saints are hot garbage. I don't know. I don't know why every Monday night game is bad too now. Like, there was a really good run of Monday night games, and now it's like we get Colts and Steelers, and now we get this fucking shit. Like, what is this? Saints and Bucks? Okay. But anyway, yeah, so I got the Bucks winning just because I don't think the Saints are very good on offense. I don't know. You can disagree on that one. That's fine. Week 12, we went 10-6, obviously. 101, 78-1 is our overall record. So, yeah, look at that. We got through another, we got through another round of picks. Week 13 in the drain, week 13 in the books now. Try to get out of here by about 21:30, or anywhere before 22 minutes. We're gonna make sure we get that. So yeah, not a bad not bad picks. This week's a little bit more difficult. There's a lot of really good games this time around, huh? A lot of really good matchups. Even like the bad games have decent matchups. So hopefully you liked the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and always make sure to leave your thoughts down below, leave your picks down below. As I always get back to those, and those two other things, and really the comments too, really help the video perform better in the algorithm, which helps the channel out in the long term, and I appreciate that. So thank you to everyone who's done all that in the past and continues to do so. It helps us out, and appreciate it. All right, that's about that for this video. Week 13 down the drain. We'll see how we do. Hopefully it's a good week. Hopefully, we'll see though. I've been rough waters all season. So all right, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, night, morning, mid-afternoon, midday, that time between like 7 and 8 when it's not quite nighttime, not quite end of the evening. Whatever time you listen, just have a good one. Thank you so much. Go Lions, go Tigers, and of course, it's always go Patriots. I'll see you on the next one, or whenever I see you next. Peace out, and later. Bye-bye.